Okay, so I've not known really what to do about this video. So I've just decided to sit down and just hit record and make it. I've thought about this for a long time, and I felt like it was a story that I needed to tell. I've been a photographer for over 18 years, and during 2020, I went through what a lot of people did, the pandemic, but I went through a little extra with looking after my parents who are aging. January 2020, my dad had a bad diagnosis, and my mother also had one. My mother's, though, was terminal. She was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. So, knowing what I was going to be up against and knowing what was coming with COVID 19, and it more than likely was not going to be handled well, I made the decision to pretty much step away from my own life and look after them as best as I could. The goal was, I knew I was going to lose mom, but I didn't want to lose her in the way that I knew people were losing others that were alone. With COVID-19, then so many people lost loved ones and they had to be alone. So my goal was, if mom was going to go, she got to go with us around her. So I walked away from everything, including my photography, which at that time I was actually running. This was not my studio for a minute. It got transformed for a short period of time into a board game and trading card game store because a scout project I was doing with a younger son of mine got out of control and took over my entire building. And so I basically got 4 years of hanging out with my kids playing games, and who gets to do that? That's another story. That was, I guess, sort of the silver lining of everything. But during 2020, of course, shut that store down, shut down photography. I sold my equipment. I walked away. I honestly didn't see how the world came back. In March of 2020, my mom gave me what would become the last gift she would ever give me, and that was an iPhone 11 Pro. She had it, didn't need it, and gave it to me. And this was the first iPhone that I had that had an amazing camera. iPhones are great. Sorry. Sure, everybody's got their own opinions, but these cameras do a fine job. They do. You can do a fine job with them. So this became my camera, and in a way it saved I wouldn't say saved my photography, but saved me as a photographer for a moment, as I used it to filter my reality for 2 years and allow me to preserve and tell the story that I'm about to show you in 60 images. So these 60 images are spanning from mom's first day at chemo to her funeral. And during this process, no one really realized I was taking photos. It was very few photos I took. Honestly, out of these 60 you'll see, I think maybe there were 10 more that just weren't. They didn't have the same feel, or they were sort of duplicates that didn't have the same. Anyway, there weren't many more than what you'll see. And it's taken me now, I lost mom in 22, so it's been over 2 years, just over 2 years. And so I felt this is a story worth sharing, because not only does it show how you can find the light through the darkness of what you're going through something you love like photography, but it also, at the time, I didn't realize what was happening was I was refusing to stop. Even though I thought I was refusing to stop. So I think that's one of the most important things that, as I've processed everything, that I've started to take away is, no matter what comes at us, we simply have to refuse to quit. That just is not something that we can do. And of course, I had a good friend of mine in Boston that had texted me a list of equipment later that year in like October and convinced me to go with the Nikon mirrorless system because he knew how much I loved the Nikon DSLRs when I was shooting. I still have a couple of my DSLRs that were, put away. They weren't still in service when I sold everything that was working, but I took his advice that month and sort of came back. It still took me a while, I think, to find myself. Took some therapy. I would say photography is a great therapy, but it's no replacement for real therapy. I think everybody should go to therapy, just like I think everybody should go to the doctor. When you're sick, you go to the doctor. When this doesn't work, go get it fixed. You can get back to who you are. Maybe even a better version of who you are. At least that's what I hope has happened to me. So these 60 images span a 2-year period. Were the beginning of Mom's treatment around April of 2020 to June of 2022. So it's just over, slightly over it's 2 years. It's a 2-year period. These photos helped me preserve a lot of what I actually went through. That honestly, I don't remember taking a lot of these photos. There was a point in time during a span of the photos that I know I didn't sleep for about 14 days. And that was just before the hospice stepped in and helped us with Mother for her last, which I think may have been a month or so. I'm still kind of fuzzy on the times, really. It was a pretty dark period. So anyway, everything I shot with an iPhone 11 Pro and just flipped it to black and white in the phone because it felt more true to me in black and white than it did in color. The colors just didn't, to me, tell the story the same. And I hope that the takeaway from this is what you're going through right now, it'll pass. It's painful, I know. There's some dark, dark times we all go through. The light at the end of the tunnel is there. You will find it. You don't refuse. You do refuse to quit. Don't quit no matter what. Sorry for the rambling. I don't do scripts, but I just wanted to get this out there. And here are the 60 images.